Hey there, welcome back to the athomedive YouTube channel. My name is Joey, and today we're back in the kitchen making something fantastic. Today we're gonna make a classic Italian cream cake. So sit back, hit that subscribe button, and let's dive right in. Alright friends, so today we're going to split this into two sections. We're going to do the batter first for the cake, and then we're going to do the icing separate. So to get started on the batter today, I have 1 stick or 4 ounces of unsalted butter, 1 stick of salted butter, and half a cup of vegetable shortening. We're going to add to that 2 cups of granulated white sugar, 2 cups of AP flour, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, 1/2 teaspoon of almond extract, and I just went ahead and mixed mine, 5 egg whites, and 5 egg yolks, 7 ounces of toasted coconut that is sweetened. I did go ahead and toast off the full 14-ounce bag, and you want to do the same thing because the other 7 ounces comes in here later, and 1 cup of toasted chopped pecans. And that's all we're going to need for the batter, so let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is take the sugar and mix it in with the butter and shortening. And then I'm going to beat it until smooth and creamy and fluffy with an electric mixer. This should probably take about 5 minutes on medium.
5 minutes later.
So as you can see, now the fat and sugar are nice and fluffy and light and soft and almost smooth. So it's time we can start adding in the egg yolks. I am going to add these one at a time while the mixer's running and let them fully incorporate before adding the next. Now I'm going to take the AP flour and I'm going to sift the nutmeg and the baking soda straight into it. I like to do this so that there's no clumps of baking soda or spice in the cake itself. We want to make sure everything's nice and even. Also, I forgot to mention that I'm going to be using 1 cup of buttermilk. Now we're going to add these things in slowly, and we're going to start with a little bit of buttermilk, and we're going to alternate between the buttermilk and the flour mixture until they're both fully incorporated. Now we're going to add in the coconut, the toasted nuts, and the almond and vanilla extract. So now we have our egg whites, and I'm going to pour those into a large bowl because I'm going to beat them with very well cleaned beaters until they're light and fluffy to stiff peaks. It's important to beat the egg whites on medium as opposed to high because you want to slowly form structure that's going to last as opposed to whipping them up really tall and then them trying to fall fast. Just like whenever you make whipped cream. When you pull your beaters out and you notice that they stand to stiff peaks, that means that you're pretty much ready. So now we're going to bring back our batter and we're going to take about 1/3 of our egg whites and we're going to fold it into the mix. Now we're going to add the remaining egg whites. Once your cake batter is nice and completely combined evenly, it's time that we go ahead and get our cake pans out. These should be prepared ahead of time because you don't want to let the batter sit too long at this stage. But these are prepared just like whenever we did the carrot cake. They're buttered and then floured with the excess flour dumped off. You want to make sure that they coat completely evenly and nice and covered, but you want to make sure there's no excess flour. So now I'm going to divide the batter about evenly between the 3 pans. Now I'm simply just gonna even the batter out a little bit so that there are no high points, and just to make sure that it goes all the way to the edges with the same depth. All right, so now we have our cakes, and we are gonna go right into the oven for 20 minutes at 350 degrees, and then we're gonna come back and rotate them and leave them in for an additional 10 minutes. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and pull the first cake out, and we're gonna test it and see if it's ready. I'm gonna use the toothpick method. I'm just gonna insert it right in the middle of the cake and see if it comes out clean, and as you can see in this case, it does. So this cake is ready. I'm gonna go and check the other two, and we'll be right back. Here are our 3 cakes that have came out of the oven. As you can see, they're all really close to the top of the pan. They're not too domed up. They're actually nice and flat, but they look fantastic. I'm gonna set them aside to let them cool down, and then we're gonna get to making the icing. While the cake's cooling is a great time for us to go ahead and make the icing. So I've got 16 ounces of cream cheese and 8 ounces of butter that are totally soft. I'm gonna go ahead and add in 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract and 1/2 teaspoon of almond extract. Next, I'm gonna go ahead and add in 2 pounds of confectioner's sugar. And now, I'm gonna beat these on low until the sugar's incorporated, and then move up to medium until they're completely smooth. And now we're gonna set this aside until the cake's totally cooled. So the cakes have been cooling down for a little bit, and they are still nice and warm. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to turn the cakes over and hope that the pan allows the cake to fall out naturally. And just like that, with a couple of taps, the first one's out. We're gonna repeat the process with all 3 cakes, and this is gonna help the cakes cool down a lot faster. So now we're gonna let these sit here and cool down the rest of the way, and then we'll be right back. So we are back, and as you can see, we have the cakes here, and they're completely cooled to the touch. I don't feel any heat whenever I touch them. And I'm gonna go ahead and slide these over to the side. I also have a plate that we're gonna be putting the cake onto, the remainder of the toasted coconut, and some chopped pecans, as well as the cream cheese icing that we just made. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take the cake that's slightly damaged, and I'm gonna put it right onto the plate. You can use whichever one you like to start at the bottom, but I recommend not using the cake that looks the absolute best. If you have one that sticks a little bit, that's a great place for this. Now I'm gonna take a generous dollop of icing and put it right on top in the middle. Spread it around a little bit. It doesn't have to be perfect. As long as you get a good coating of icing in between the layers, that's really all you need to make sure that you accomplish. I also chose to put coconut in between my layers. Now it's time for the next layer. I'm gonna press this down and turn it just a little bit, and that's gonna help us keep everything completely even. So as you can see here, we have our cake, and it's completely covered in icing, and it's close, but it's not smooth at all, and that's perfectly fine. We're gonna show you the easy way to make this cake look beautiful, as opposed to worrying about perfect icing. So the very first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get a good pinch of the coconut, and I'm gonna start at the top, work my way down, and I'm gonna pat it against the icing. Feel free to run a lap around your cake and make sure if you see any light spots that you go ahead and recoat them with coconut, because even if you put too much on there, it's just gonna fall off. It's not gonna stick, and there's not gonna be our downside to doing that. We can rake up this excess coconut and get it out of the way. Now for for the top. Plenty of things you can do for the top that are super fancy, but we're gonna do this the easy way. We're gonna put toasted and chopped pecans on here, and these are going to give it that nice, rich, extra bit of nutty flavor and crunch, and make the top look fantastic. Whenever I do the top, I do like to keep one hand near the outside so that all the decorations that I'm adding stay on top as opposed to going down the sides like the coconut.